We're back for the art of benching, number 7, and we're getting ready. Jeffrey Hoppy is sitting here ready to bring in Adamus. Adamus will be here with us. He's here with every breath, regardless. But now, let's just take that moment, this time that we have, to really allow ourselves to take that good deep breath, that breath of awareness and consciousness. Let yourself flow with the energy, with the air, breathing, allowing. Take the good deep breath. Feel it. And perhaps you can hear the beauty of nature here. The birds are chirping away. Feel that. Breathe that in. Take that good deep breath. That good deep breath. Breathe in Adamus. He's here with every breath, with every step. Breathe. Breathe. And now, we'll play some music. Breathe into it. Breathe into it. Feel it.
I am that I am. Adamus of Saint Germain. Here we are at the Shambhala Pavilion in Kona, Hawaii, at Villa Amio. Here we are gathered once again for our monthly shout. How many years have we been doing this? How many beautiful, beautiful years. And here we are now at a point where we can shine our light. And we've gone through all the issues. We've gone through all the tears. And now it's time we can just truly do what we came here to do, shine our light. It's not that difficult, doesn't cost anything. You don't need a lot of lessons, but I'll give you one today anyway. It's simply a point to shine the light. We're emanating our light from the Shambhala Pavilion. As we do, as you shine your light out to the planet, you can almost feel the need for it, the desire, almost a desperation for it. As you shine your light, you may notice also some things happening in your life. Things like doubt starting to go away. You know, when you're holding the light back, when you're involved in those inner battles and conflicts, when you're challenging yourself, there's a lot of doubt. But once you say, I'm beyond that, no reason to continue to have it. Once you're beyond that, then the doubt starts going away. You start getting back into the flow of your own energy. Stop worrying about things that probably never going to happen anyway. You begin to truly understand the meaning of I exist. You understand awareness. Suddenly, as you're shining your light, all these other things seem to go away because, well, you're shining your light. You're opening yourself up to who you really are, not trying to craft your identity any longer. That was kind of an interesting, fun game for so many human lifetimes. Trying to craft your identity. Who am I? And let's see what it's like to be like this or like that. And you finally come to the point of realizing they're all acts of consciousness, but they're all acts. And you come to the point of realizing you don't need to craft an identity anymore for yourself. Simply, I am that I am. Then you can let your light shine. Like we're doing right now here from Villa Amio, no agenda. Letting our light shine, whether there's anybody there to receive it or not, doesn't matter. Letting our light shine, not trying to inflict it on any of you, Shambhala, but simply sharing it with you. But again, when you do that, you're doing it for yourself first. The greatest light is shined upon your own self. And the human starts to realize the craziness of the past, of all the things that you've done trying to figure yourself out, make yourself perfect, be worthy of your realization. You know, realization, coming to your realization, being worthy of it, there's no test you have to take for it. There's no examination. There's no lightning bolts coming from heaven, and oftentimes there's really no big cathartic activities. And coming to your realization, you'll stumble and fall, indeed. That's part of the program, I guess, at least right now. You'll stumble and fall literally, and also just in kind of the general terms. But you stumble and fall a little bit. Sometimes it's a bump and fill. Sometimes it's you're trying so hard at things, and you're stumbling, and then you finally stumble enough and you realize, I'm not going to try anymore. I am going to be. I'm just going to be. And that's a huge difference. That human identity you've been trying to craft might scream out, no, we have some more work to do. We're imperfect, and we have to work on this, and we have all sorts of crap, and we have to reach realization. But then you realize, that's all false. Simply a matter of shining your light. It's that simple. When you shine your light, you realize, if you already haven't, that you're already realized. You realize that it was all right there to begin with. And you were just doing everything to avoid it, or try to do it yourself, or try to do it like others have done theirs. It doesn't work. You suddenly realize, I am realized. There may not be any great big lightning bolts. You may not suddenly look 10 years younger. Those things don't matter. What matters is that you are allowing yourself to be realized. So many Shaumbra have now. They truly have, and they realize it's not a power trip. Oh, no, realization, not a power trip at all. It's not about suddenly getting more powerful in life or with yourself or even with other people. It's not about suddenly having all these things or being able to do all these things. You realize that was truly kind of a false narrative, a false dialogue that you had in your own human mind, the human maybe wanting that, but realization is just it. I am that I am realized. And when you realize that, when you come to that point of truly feeling it within yourself, all the energies change and adjust and flow in a very synchronous and a very personal way. There's no more working at it. There's no more expectations of some glory that comes with realization. For you, Shaumbra, that you realized, it's not about glory. It's not about power. It's not about having more energy. None of those things. It's simply about realizing who you really are. Not just the human. The human's a great aspect or facet for going out and discovering and playing. But you suddenly realize, I am that I am. And maybe you can't put words on that. Maybe you can't really define it. And I oftentimes encourage those who have just come into realization, don't try to define it at all. Try to just be it and live it. Later on, you'll be able to define it and communicate it better. But right now, you just take a deep breath and you realize, I am realized. So we're shining our light here from Villa Amio out to the world. No agenda. Out to each and every one of you through this webcast. We're shining the light, and especially to yourself. You deserve it. You absolutely deserve it after everything you've been through. So let's take a good, deep breath with that. The reason we're here, we're in a new era for Shaumbra. Linda, did you realize that? We're in a whole new era now for Shaumbra. You're with Shaumbra all the time.
You can feel it. You can feel it, truly.
Yeah.
Especially when we've had events lately, too. You see it.
See, you're in the front line. You're with Shaumbra in a very personal, intimate way. And you could see the difference compared to the gatherings, the workshops that you used to do 15, 20 years ago. I mean, they were wonderful at the time for what it was, but so different now.
Jeff, even just a couple, Adamus.
I'm Adamus.
Sorry. Well, you know, there's a little confusion there for me. But even this,
Who
the
do you
last
sleep
couple,
with that night?
I try to sleep with Jeff, but you butt in a lot.
I'm not butting in. I'm simply having a scheduled meeting with Caldra at the time. He's not in the bed. He's off somewhere else. And his body's in the bed, but his consciousness is somewhere else.
Thank you for the clarity.
Yes. So you can have his body, I can have his consciousness. Okay. Yeah, good, good. So yes, there's a distinctive difference. We're in a new era, really.
But it's not 10 years ago. It's only just in the last couple years.
Last couple of years, absolutely. I would say the biggest turning point, we had a lot of them, the biggest point of separation with Shambhala came in the summer of 2020. It was a combination of COVID, it was a combination of so many Shambhala around the world, just taking a deep breath and acknowledging their realization, just, I am realized. That's it. That's all it needs. And without all the expectations of what's going to happen, it happens after that. The energies rebalance and adjust and work whole differently. But more than anything else, your self-perception changes.
Absolutely.
Instead of now trying to get realized and fighting all the things you think you're keeping you from it, now you just realize it's such a breath of fresh air. And it came right in the midst of COVID. But even since then, now we're doing what we came here to do. It was 20-some years of preparation, and now doing what we came here to do, and that's shining the light. You'd say, well, that's pretty easy. Why did we need 20 years? Well, ask yourself why we needed 20 years. But we're here now doing it. We're here doing it.
It was an evolution. I mean, you can't not see it.
Yeah, absolute evolution. And now, as a whole, the Shambhala energy is really mellowing. It's matured. It's not so bouncing off the walls.
Right.
It's not panic, desperation. Now, there are still some Shambhala going through a lot, but we'll kick them in the butt and let them know you don't need to be. Well, sometimes that's what it takes. Or we could just meditate, but and they get worse
It's
into it.
not your thing.
Not my thing. Not my thing. No, nothing wrong with meditation other than the way people do it. But other than that, it's a great tool. So let's begin. We have a lot to cover today. I want to talk about, first of all, about communications. Communications are at the core of just about everything. Just about everything. As you know from our discussions, that energy is communications. It's no longer E equals MC squared, it's E equals C. C being communication. Same difference, energy and communications. We've had some wonderful gatherings right here in the Shambhala Pavilion recently, the Masters in Communications, where Shambhala are learning to perceive things, to be aware of things without the need for words or pictures. And at first it seems very difficult because the mind wants to put them in some sort of verbal or visual reference, but there's no need to. And you realize I can feel things without the limited human definition. You're starting to realize they can open up those angelic senses that might have otherwise overwhelmed them, but they can now open up those angelic senses into all their beauty. There's some 200,000 angelic senses, but now it's tapping into those to feel beauty without having to define it. It's feeling into love, which has become an angelic sense, without having to put it in what I would call kind of old terminology, but true love. All those things are opening up. We have this great new understanding of communications. Communications isn't just that constant chattering you're getting through your texting, I think you call it, or sexting for some, or through the internet, through all these things. That is a form of communications, but we're coming down to the core, the ability to perceive and the ability to then emanate, radiate through your angelic senses. It's so much easier, so much faster, so much fuller and more rewarding. And it's all then riding on or playing with energy, because that's what energy is. Now, I've said that soon the world is going to start to understand that energy is nothing more than communications. And the timing on this is ideal because right now, energy is associated with power.
Right.
So people think in terms of energy, they think in terms of power, they think in terms of not having enough energy or power, and then they're trying to get it. We're reversing that. We're shining our light and bringing into consciousness that energy is nothing more than a communication. It doesn't talk, it doesn't chatter, it doesn't tell you what to do. It's simply, if you want to really boil it down, it's simply stating, I exist.
Right.
I exist. And furthermore, the energy is all yours. In this very interesting time that you're living in, and I'd like you to feel into that for a moment, this is a fascinating time for any of you. And I know there's been hardships, undeniably there's been hardships, but now you're here at this most fascinating, epic time on the planet. Feel into that for a moment. You're not just here for another lifetime. You're not just here on a linear train track leading from point A to B to C and never really getting anywhere. You're here, first of all, for your realization, to realize that you are realized, and then to be here at this time of change when the planet truly needs it. Be here to actually help facilitate that and also just to be part of the experience. Part of the experience, but different than how other humans are experiencing it. They may be experiencing it from the hardship standpoint, or feeling the world's about to fall apart, or just hiding their head in the sand, but you're here to experience it from a very conscious perspective of shining your light. You're here, you couldn't have picked a better time to be here on the planet for yourself and for the planet. So feel into that for a moment, how it's all converging, coming together. The right time, the right place, no mistakes. At what's happening on the planet right now, in terms of everything, systems, technology, energy, everything that's happening. The things I talked about, the greatest driving factors on the planet right now, sovereignty or freedom. Humans like never before are desiring freedom, but they really don't know what it is. And they're longing for it, but they're not sure how to get there, how to find it. They're also looking for truth. And good Lord knows that in this day and age, where do you find truth? Where do you find truth? In the news media, on the internet, from your friends, from your local conspiracy clubs, whatever. Where do you find the truth? There's one place. It's within yourself. And if you're shining your light, you're also communing with yourself. And you will also intuitively know the truth. And you're not going to get caught up in all the other junk that's flying around.
That's really encouraging, actually. That you distilled that so nicely.
Thank you.
Priceless.
Yes, I'm a master. So truth they're looking for, and you can keep these flowing anytime you want, the praises. And I joke about it, but so many of you take the praise from yourself, from others. You're not going to get a big egotistical head. It's just like an acknowledgement for the master that you truly are. So stop playing the kind of the shy game, or I'm not worthy game. More praises?
Oh, sure. You're awesome. My God, you've helped us through this.
Thank you.
Unreal what this means.
Take the praise. Okay, so we have sovereignty, we have truth, we have energy as one of the big drivers on the planet. I stated all these last months, but Shambra tends to forget.
You know what? It helps, and now I've already created a little helpful word like it's step.
Step, right. Yeah. Sovereignty, truth, energy. Oh, so the energy on the planet right now. And even with all the conflicts that are going on, the driving force behind so much of that is energy itself. I mean, that's one of the tools of warfare, so to speak, but economic warfare. And then what's the last one, the P?
Passion?
No. Power.
I didn't want to believe that.
Power. No, I've stated it before.
I know.
I mean, power, no, it's one of the big forces. People are trying to grasp on, it's like the last straw of power. I'll talk about in just a bit. But communications, is so important in the work we're all doing right now, and the understanding that that's what energy is. And I've said that it's on the verge of coming out in public, and recently, just kind of the first step in it, and I'm going to ask you to read that, dear Linda.
Okay.
This is a quote from a controversial physicist, but good physicists are controversial
Well,
because they're breaking some of the old paradigms.
right.
Physics is all about, well, how things work, but you have to be somewhat out of the box. You have to be a lot out of the box to explore not just this dimension of physics, but there's so much more. So a recent quote came
Well,
out.
they'll learn a lot just trying to prove them wrong.
Exactly.
Right.
And who's this from?
Okay, this is from Nassim Haramein,
Nazim Haramein, yes, and
physicist.
yes, yeah, good. And he's controversial because of his methods, but his methods need to be so because he doesn't want to get stuck in the quagmire of the existing old system.
Where is he from? I couldn't figure out where he's from.
Just go ahead.
Okay. The existence of this intelligence and orderly cosmos is that the structure of creation is intricate and communicates on every scale.
Okay, it communicates on every scale. The structure, the system, this universe communicates on every scale. Good.
Okay? This communication fuels an information exchange dynamic. Feed forward, feedback, or information feedback loop. That allows the system to learn about itself and evolve and become self-aware.
Become self-aware. So basically, what he's saying, Nassim is saying, is that there's this massive communication going on. It's not dead space. It's not stupid particles. Everything is communicating. Now, what he doesn't know yet, but we'll help him, is that it's all your energy to begin with. That'll be a big revelation. But what he's saying is everything is interconnected in its communications. Now, his next step will be to come out sometime this year with the theory that energy is communications, or vice versa, communications are energy. This is the first step in what we've been doing for a long time and talking about, and if I could see this quote again, but saying that everything communicates on every scale. Everything within your body, everything within your reality is communicating. Everything is interconnected within you, within your oneness. And this is amazing. And the communication, it fuels this information exchange and allows the system to learn about itself and evolve and become self-aware. Well, that sounds something like straight out of the Adamus playbook, and it might be. The important point here, the important takeaway, is that for Shambhala in particular, communications are the next step. Understanding how to communicate back in your natural state without words or pictures, and eventually you can use that, but it's time to get back to that understanding of how to do it. And that realizing your entire body right now is communicating with all the neurons and all the cells and molecules. They're all communicating. Everything in your reality, the air right there is all communicating. It doesn't have to be a particle to communicate. It doesn't have to be able to talk or sing or write letters or anything like that. It's all communicating right now. It's all yours, and you're right in the midst of it. It's such an important point to feel into your communications, but don't expect words. Not at all. You feel into it with your angelic senses, and you don't even have to define those senses. You just have to know that they're already there. It's the ability to be sensual and to be aware at many, 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 many different levels, which will give you a perspective of not only this physical reality that you're kind of existing in, but all the dimensions, all the realities that surround it. So communication is at the heart of what we're doing now, understanding that. And you understand communication, you understand energy, and vice versa. Ultimately, it all comes down to one very core thing, awareness. Awareness is the greatest gift you'll ever have. Awareness is the greatest gift. And it starts with the I exist. I am aware. I exist. If you didn't exist, you couldn't be aware that you exist. So it's so basic, so core. I exist. And then I am that I am. Basically meaning that that you are everything that you've ever done or thought or could be or would be, but all in the now moment. Awareness, the greatest gift that you have. And what's happening right now as we're communicating more, as you're learning to commune with your own energy, it opens up your awareness, sometimes on levels that are definitely understood by the human mind, other times on levels that require the openness or the allowing of the natural communications that you have, the ability to perceive, the ability to be aware, and the ability to sense all the communications. And it's not overwhelming. You think, oh, every little atom is communicating. It's not overwhelming. And they're not trying to tell you what to do. Get over that. They will never tell you what to do. You're the one that chooses. Even the I am, or the soul, doesn't tell you what to do. But you can reconnect with self. You can really get yourself back in a balance by allowing the reconnection with the soul, because it's you. It's everything. It's your wisdom. It's your energy. But none of these things are going to tell you what to do, and I don't want to hear that anymore. I know we got past the whole thing with spirit guides, but now you're saying, well, my soul told me to do this or that. No, it doesn't. The soul is there as a constant light, as a reassurance, as a reservoir of all your energy and your wisdom and your potentials, but it won't say, do this or do that. That's up to you. That's up to you. And you can bring in your wisdom to help you make those choices, but ultimately it's up to you. So the most basic of all communications, the most basic of all things is, I am aware. I exist. I am that I am. That's a communication that's always taking place. You could be in a totally quiet environment, as we recently tried to experience in the workshops, just totally quiet, and there's still that communication. But it's not a screaming noise, and it's not a parent's voice in your head or anything like that. It's just I am. I am. I exist. And that's that constant communication that's taking place. Feel into it for a moment. Yeah, and it is difficult at first, going beyond words. But then you return back to your natural state, and suddenly you realize the difficult part was actually using words, having to learn a language, and having to limit yourself in language or in visuals. The next important point in this, we're talking about communications, and we're talking about awareness. Be awareness. You know, so many Shambhas, so many people, I'm going to start with general people and at first, so many people are, well, they're kind of unaware. They're aware of a very limited thing within their reality. They're aware of maybe their family members and their job and the fact that it might be cold outside, but the awareness is pretty limited, which is kind of, well, it's not sad, it's kind of unfortunate, because there's so much more to be aware of. Most people are out of their bodies. They're not grounded in their body or even in their mind. They're not somewhere else, like some higher state of consciousness. They're in kind of a no-thing place. They're just kind of not here, they're not there. They just kind of get through the day. And you could say it's because, well, there's too much pain to be fully grounded in your body, but that's one of the reasons why there's pain. It's because your body's trying to tell you, get the hell back in here. They're in emotional pain, so they don't want to be present. They just want to be anywhere else but here, with enough awareness just to get by, but the emotional pain is overwhelming, so they kind of leave. But again, when you do that, the emotional pain screams out even more than ever, and it wants them back. It wants you back. So you can release those pains. You can let them go. You can shine your light, which is the greatest way of releasing pain to begin with in the first place. So we have so many Shambhas still. They don't really want to be here, and they might have physical pain. They might have mental issues, mental pain. So they kind of go out somewhere else. Well, when you're in that state, you're not here. You're not really totally aware. You're not here to receive all the gifts that are here in terms of joy and happiness and health and abundance. Ultimately, it all comes down to what I call the present moment or the now. They're not in the now, they're not present. And it's the only place anything ever happens, is the now. There are no communications outside of the present moment. There's only memories of the past and wondering or perceptions about what the future may be, but there are no communications. Everything communicates in the now moment. You want communication, you be in the present moment. The present moment is where everything is, including your past lives. They're really not in the past. The present moment is where all the abundance is. It is not in the future. It is not in the future. The present moment is where your health is. If you have health issues, the health isn't in the past when you were younger. It's not in the future when you think you might have a miracle cure. You want a miracle cure? Get in the present moment, because this is where all the awareness, all the communication, all the receiving, and all the gifts are right here. Your past lives are in the present moment, although you may not realize it. There's some type of blinder that's on. Your future potentials are actually not in the future. They're here right now. They're just waiting. It's like your present moment is a huge, vast, let's say, reality landscape, beautiful reality landscape, just waiting for you. So it's all here right now. There is no time. There is time if you wear a watch, but there is no real time. Therefore, when you consider, and when you've considered in the past, the infinity or eternity, it seems like a long, 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 long time. You think about eternity. Can you imagine being married to somebody for eternity? That's a long time.
It's a long time.
It's a long time, and it never ends. And there's some religions that practice that. That's a big vow over a long period of time. When you contemplate eternity, the mind can't. It just goes on and on and on, unless you realize it all occurs in this present moment, unless it's happening right now. When you consider it that way, eternity isn't very long at all. It's all right here. Eternity doesn't stretch out into some vast outer space going on and on. Eternity is right here. And that's when I say you're never birthed. You never had an angelic spiritual birth. You did humans, but you weren't suddenly come into existence by the wave of the hand of some god, and you never go out of existence because it's all right here. How could you have a past or a future when it's all right here? All gifts from you to yourself, from your soul to you, are right here, right now. Let's this isn't a marab, this is just a moment to feel into that. Let's have a little music and feel into that. It's so beautifully simple and so essential right now. It's all right here, the present moment. Everything. There are no communications outside of the present moment. There's no healing outside of the present moment. No abundance outside of this. This is it. This is why it's so imperative right now to be aware in the present moment. So imperative right now to communicate in the present moment. And to shine your light in the present moment. I realize it's very easy to get caught in the trap of past and future, in linear reality, but it simply isn't that way. Reality is circular. It's all in the present moment. All your past lives. Your past lives right now are going through something very, very interesting. They're going through realization. Even though it was the past, or at least you think it was, it's happening right now. Even though one would argue and say, well, they have their history. They did certain things and then they died. No, not really. It's all changing right now because it's in the present moment. You can't really go into your past by going backwards in time, but you can sense all these other expressions. You can communicate with them in the present moment. It's all right here. All of your abundance is right here. Some of you are still searching. Where is the abundance? Where is it? I can't find it. Because you're looking out there. It's all present moment. There is nothing else in all of creation. Nothing else. Just present moment. The light that shines from a far distant planet doesn't come from 2 million light years away. Unless all you are aware of is linear reality. But no, that light is shining in the moment. What is perceived as a star or a solar system 2 million light years away is not really out there. Well, of course, the instruments that humans use for measurement would argue otherwise, but no, it's actually all right here. That distant planet is actually all right here. It has to be. There's nothing outside of the present moment, except memories or perhaps hopes. Memories of the past and hopes of what may come, but you find out that all those hopes, all what you would choose to be is right here in the present moment. There's nothing communicating from the past. It's all right here. It's the circular reality. Your realization wasn't off in the future somewhere. A long time ago, a couple of years ago, I told Chambra I pretty much know within about a week or so of when you have your realization. It wasn't because I was looking into the future. I was looking at your present moment. Everything is here. Sometimes it's just a matter of taking a deep breath, relaxing a little bit, and then being aware, communing with it, but not demanding, not telling it what you want, just tapping into your own self, your energy, wisdom, potentials, your soul, feeling into that. It's all right here. Your death is right here in the now moment. Everything is right here. The answers, everything. And this is so important right now as you shine the light, because it shines to you first. As you shine the light and then commune with all of you, all of yourself. Parts unknown, unexplored, but they're all right here. They're not off somewhere else. Being aware, you can only be aware of the moment. You can only be aware of the moment. How could you be aware of the future? And you're not really aware of the past either. Those are old memories. They're mental and nothing more than mental. That's all they are. Let's take a deep breath into existing and being and communing in the now moment. Everything is here. That's it. With that grand and simple realization, suddenly you're off the old railroad tracks of linear reality. Suddenly you realize the train's not moving at all. It doesn't need to. It's all right here. There's no tracks to follow. There's no energy to have to get anywhere. I mean, no energy that's not right here already. There's nothing outside of really your reality, the now moment reality, nothing. It's all right here. And don't work at it. Don't get into this mental thing, working at it, trying to think present moment. No, it's taking a deep breath and relaxing into the present moment. That's all it takes. Yeah, you might get slammed back into linear reality. Then you take another deep breath and you come back to your natural state of being. It's all present. It's all present. It's all right here. Including everything that you could possibly want or need in this lifetime. It's all right here. Let's take a deep breath with that. And let's let that light shine from the present moment. I've seen some of you doing it from God knows where. The past, the future, out in some zombie dimension somewhere. No, it's all from right here. Let's take a good deep breath with that. Good deep breath as we move into our next topic. Now let's talk about the world. Enough talk about you. Let's talk about the world. Feel into it for a moment, the world. Interesting, huh? Interesting. I find it absolutely amazing. You feel into the world and perhaps you'll start to realize that right now, I mean, in the present moment, right now is this huge point of separation, a huge point of separation for the planet, like never before. And I know you've heard that before, things are like never before, but this is like never, ever before for the planet. Some may call it a tipping point. Tobias used the term point of separation, which I like, but whatever it is right now is the greatest opportunity on the planet right now for change. It's the greatest opportunity, and you're here. Isn't that interesting? And if you step back a little bit, just step back, stand behind the short wall, and observe all that's going on right now. And I know it's overwhelming at times it's depressing and sad, and I know you kind of get your dramas up, but right now is such a time. I'd like you to really feel into this during the rest of our shout, but even in between. There's never been such an opportunity on the planet for the end of wars. The end of wars on this planet. There's never been such an opportunity for the end of hunger on the planet. This planet is not a long way away from letting go of these old things. We're right at the tipping point. And it could go either way, but we're right at the tipping point. The planet's right at that verge of letting go of some of the old economic systems. And they're going to have to, whether they want to or not, but they're going to have to. Some of the old economic systems that have delivered for some and not delivered for a lot. It has to change. And again, some of you are wagging your fingers. I'm not talking about communism or anything like that. That didn't work. That was a bad Atlantean hangover, and it just didn't work. And it wasn't going to work because I was trying to pull something from the times of Atlantis, and it just wasn't going to work. But I'm talking about more of a global balance of finance. And again, I don't want to go into a lot of details right now. I think I'll do one of my new on-topic subjects on that. But kind of an equitable distribution on the planet for the economy. And we're right at the edge of that. We're right at the edge of no more power games on this planet. No more power games. Everything has kind of gotten into a focus and gotten compacted and tight and ready for a change right now. And there's a lot of elements that are supporting that potential change. Everything from technology, science, everything from systems, old systems, even physics. They're all here to support that point of separation the planet's at. But more than anything, consciousness. Consciousness. Can you imagine a world where wars are a thing of the past? Where wars are no longer taking place, where dictators and leaders who are ruling with power in the worst way are no longer tolerated. And that's what's happening. You can feel all the turbulence on the planet right now, with chaos and commotion and everything going on. You say, oh, what's happening to the planet? Well, you step behind the short wall. There's always turbulence before great change. But right now, what's happening is there is enough consciousness on the planet and enough people who are saying no more to some of these old ways. Of course, the old ways then kind of rear their ugly heads for one last stand. But I truly have a feeling that what's going to come from everything happening on the planet right now is humanity saying no more to these things. Now, that brings up a big question. I mean, again, the scenario is the evolution of consciousness on the planet and compassion on the planet eliminates some of these old things. Let's say that perhaps the conflict in the Ukraine right now becomes the last war of all. The question I have, are humans ready? Is humanity ready for this? Years and years ago, I asked Chamber, do you think humans are ready for freedom? And I basically said, not really. They weren't ready to really understand what true freedom was, because freedom is accepting responsibility for what you do. Now I ask now at this tipping point, and I'd love to hear your views of it, post on social media or send me an email or whatever. And Calder is telling me I don't have an email address. That's correct. That's why I said send me an email. But is humanity ready for all this right now? And all this means the end of wars. All this means the end of hunger and poverty. These things do not need to exist at all. There are enough resources on the planet that are here right now or in the research and development phases that no one on this planet should ever suffer. Is the planet ready to get over abuses of between people, sexual abuse? Are humans ready to get over just even the emotional abuse between each other? Are they ready for this? Because it's all coming into being right now. It's all at that point of separation. And the real question is, are they ready? Are they ready for what they'll eventually come to understand as freedom? Freedom doesn't mean you get to do anything you want. Freedom means you take responsibility for everything you do. You take responsibility for everything you do. That's true freedom. Is this planet ready now to understand energy? The solution to the energy that fuels your planet is relatively simple, shockingly simple. But humanity just hasn't been ready to see it. They've been using old fossil fuel, old energy, literally and figuratively. But are they ready now for this thing that could be coming out of the laboratory within 3 years that would provide nearly free energy and on top of that, clean energy? Something has to change. Something has to shift just a little bit, not a lot. Something has to kind of push it over the tipping point. And that thing is consciousness or light. Humanity is so close right now to coming to the end of any war and not tolerating it. You can see what's happening right now in the news on the situation in the Ukraine. It's a combination of power. And settle down, some of you. Let me finish what I'm saying. It's a issue of power, very old power plays. It's an issue of economics to a large degree. It's also kind of a exhibit of old force, military force. How's the world reacting to that right now? They're sick of it. They're tired of it. They can't believe it's happening. They're putting pressures on their leaders, on the world leaders, to do something to change that right now. And not to meet power with power, not to go in with bigger missiles and bigger weapons, but for basically people to declare, we're done with it. We won't tolerate that anymore. Oh, and then of course power will raise its ugly head even bigger and say, you don't have a choice, I'm all power, but it will disintegrate. It will disintegrate. I talked about it a little bit in our recent Saint or Satan discussion, and it really brings up this whole point. The planet's at such a tipping point, ready for a big change. But are enough ready? That's where you come in. That's why you're here on the planet right now. Let's talk a little bit more also about power, what it is. Power. Power is, I'm going to simplify it, overly simplify it, and again, Calder kind of knows what's coming up, so he's arguing about it. But I'm going to say power, people who are addicted to power, and it is an addiction. People who are addicted to power are ones who are victims or think they're victims. They are wounded by something in their past. Something happened to them, perhaps when they were a warrior in a past life, perhaps because their parents didn't treat them well, whatever it is. The power monger is a wounded being, and they do not know how to deal with their wounds. They become a victim, and the victim oftentimes accumulates more and more and more and more power. It's a defense that they think they have to protect themselves, so they never have this type of thing happen again. Imagine, for instance, on a typical human level, somebody's had a really bad relationship, marriage, and it goes very, very bad. They're hurt, they're wounded, and they haven't released those energies. They haven't moved through it. So it's all playing out in their body and in their mind. And what they do now is they're a victim. So going into another relationship, they bring all that with them, their victim energy, and they will play a game rather than just enjoy the relationship. They'll either pull back from that new relationship, or they perhaps will just try to be more powerful, more assertive, or they'll perhaps become angry and violent, or even taking to excessive drink or drugs because of the wounds that they have. And it's a kind of a defensive move. It's the very same right now, even on the world stage. These power mongers consider themselves victims at some level. The world did them wrong. Other people did them wrong. And what they're going to do now is accumulate power so nobody can do that again. They become addicted to power, obsessed with power, and all the time not realizing that power is an absolute illusion. It's not going to cure your wounds from the past. It's not going to move the energies or release you from being a victim. So they acquire more and more power, whether it's through a military, whether it's through money, whether it's through manipulating other people on an individual basis. But at its core, power is because the people who go after power are really actually victims. Now, with that understanding, and when you shine your light, now you have a bit more understanding of what's going on. Nobody really wants to rule the world. I mean, some have tried, but nobody really wants to rule the world. They just don't want the world ruling them. So they go for power. As you shine your light, realizing this type of thing, again, you're not trying to change them. You're not trying to make them a nicer person. You're simply shining that light so perhaps they can see their own wounds, their own hurts. Power is a very, very addictive thing, but right now the planet is saying no more. Whether it's power from a government, from a dictator, whether it's power from businesses, the world is saying we're just not going to go that way. And businesses actually are pretty flexible because they're businesses, and they're going along with it because they have to. They're a business. They want to stay in business. So if consciousness changes, business adapts and adjusts to it. Right now, there is a tremendous potential on this planet for the end of things that many of you have hoped and dreamt and wished for a long, long time. Letting go of power and abuses. A world where there are no more wars and nobody will tolerate one at all. They'll find ways to isolate those who are in the warrior mode. Or businesses that are predators, they'll find a way to put them out of business. And that, again, not using their power or force, but using consciousness. Hopefully that gives you a better perspective of exactly why you're here on the planet, what you're doing at this epic time, this tipping point time. Could you imagine in your lifetime, in the next decade, that humanity puts an end to this nonsense? Humanity puts an end to hunger, which doesn't need to exist. Humanity puts an end to wars and battles and cyber attacks and all the rest of that because there's too much consciousness for it to exist anymore. There's too much light in what were very, very dark places on the planet that it simply can't exist. Could you imagine where this tremendous change right now is also facilitated or made to happen through things like technology? Technology that helps facilitate these changes so these old things can never exist. I'm not talking about a pipe dream here. I'm talking about a reality that sits before each and every one of you right now on this planet. It's at a tipping point. Which way will it go? Saint or Satan? Which way? Now let's talk about benching for a moment. Benching. Benching isn't too difficult to understand. It's benching. You can do it sitting in a chair. You can do it sitting on a park bench. You can do it in the bathtub. You don't have to have a bench. Some of you have become very literal. You do not have to have a bench. You can do it anywhere. It is simply radiating your light without an agenda. Now, there's been a lot of controversy, discussion, and a lot of confusion about this whole thing with shining your light and benching. Let me try to clarify. First of all, as a human, you're going to have certain desires about the way you'd like to see things go. Even I have my desires, and I'm not even a human. Cauldre has his. I imagine Mo Shambar would like to see an end to wars. And that's an agenda. Yeah, granted. See an end to starvation. Okay, it's an agenda. See where this planet can work through one of the stickiest issues of all is mental imbalance, mental illness. And understanding that it's the mind changing, but the mind isn't liking what's happening. So there's a lot of mental imbalance on the planet. None of us want to see that. Not many, I hope, want to see that. We'd like to not suffer anymore. We'd not to see others suffer. And yes, these are all agendas. It's your desire, may not be the desire of somebody else, and that's fine to have those. It's fine to hope that cancer will be cured, for instance. Cancer will be cured when hate is eradicated from this planet, or at least it's well on its way out. Cancer is simply hate and anger, causing a miscommunication in the body's communication network, and then gets into mass consciousness. So I assume that most Shambra want to see an end to cancer, for instance. And that's an agenda. It's a bias. And it's fine to have that as an individual that you are. You like and dislike certain things. You'd like to see certain things for the planet, especially as you are in your last lifetime on this planet, like to see some things evolve and change, and to be able to walk out the door at the end of all this and say, whoa, we made some big changes on our way out. And have a smile as you close the door behind you, going off to the Ascended Masters Club. And that's fine to have those. You almost can't help not to have those. However, when you bench, you're putting those aside. When you bench, it's no longer having a desired outcome or goal or preference or anything else. Have those, as your person, but when you sit down to bench, it is just about letting your light radiate. It's not wishing or hoping. It's not calling for planetary peace. It's not opening new vortexes in the cosmos to allow in anything else. It's simply shining your light. I think you're easily capable of doing that. Yes, you'll get thoughts floating through your mind about you really hope that this is the end of all wars on the planet. But you're not focusing on it. You're not dwelling on it. You're not projecting it out. You're simply shining your light without agenda. You're shining your consciousness in its pure state. You're shining your awareness into this present moment. That's what you're doing. Yes, you can still have your personal preferences, but when you bench, it's simply shining the light. It's pretty easy to do. Let's do it right now. Let's do it right now. It's such an epic time right now in the history of this planet. And that's, again, why you're here. It's not real tough to figure all this out. You're here in the present moment, and that's all there is. You're here to shine your light. Not working on it 24 hours a day. You go about your business, enjoying life, but you'll feel it when it's time. You'll feel it, and it's not a call from me or anybody else. It's just, you'll feel it within yourself. It's time to radiate. No agenda. We're not asking for world peace, an end to cancer. You're not asking for a certain football team to win or lose. Do that on your own. Continue to play in duality if and when you want, but when you shine the light, it's just that. Let's take a good deep breath into letting that light shine. Letting it shine out onto the planet that's at this tipping point, that needs the light right now. And then it's up to them how they want to use it. Just shining that light, and like I said, it goes to you first. Shining that light in this now moment. Nothing can communicate outside of the now moment. Nothing can. That's why it's so important to be here, present, aware, alive. What do humans do with this light? It's up to them, but this is a tipping point right now. It's up to them, totally up to them what they do. But at least the light is there for them. At least a higher level of consciousness. There are so many right now who are asking and praying and seeking. So many who are filled with hopes and dreams. There's some who say that humans lost their their ability to hope and dream. No, they really haven't. They're confused in many, many levels. But right now, they still have the hopes and dreams. They're just waiting for some answers, waiting for somebody or something to happen. Well, it's not going to be alien spaceships coming down because we kicked their asses out of here. They were interfering. It's not going to be some human-made God coming and creating floods or whatever God used to do. It's going to be consciousness coming from those humans like you around the planet that are in the now moment, are there present, and they know what it's like just to radiate consciousness. It's all about what we're doing. We've took a lot of years to get here, but that's what it's about. It's really quite simple, and it's really quite fascinating also as you watch to see what happens on the planet. Watch. Not going to have to wait real long. Light is a funny thing. Light doesn't really take any time to travel. It occurs in the now moment. You may say physical light or photons, they take a while to travel, but the light of consciousness is instant. It is instant. You're not going to have to wait a long time to see how all this plays out on your planet. Let it shine. That's it. No effort. You can drink coffee, or you can even listen to music or read a book while you're doing it. Me, I prefer actually, if I was on the planet, I wouldn't be wearing the headsets and listening to music. I'd be communing all the time, listening to the beauty of life itself. Who needs headsets? Who needs that outside music? And that's coming from me, a musician in my last lifetime. No, I'd just be communing with everything all around me. Again, I've seen a lot of controversy. What is benching? And I've seen some Schomburg get caught in a duality and fighting for one side or the other. That's not shining your light. That's staying in duality, trying to provoke arguments. You go do that, but not when you're shining your light. Go do that if you must. Shining your light is just that. Let's take a deep breath with why you're here, what you're doing. More than anything at this point of separation for the planet, it's right now. And the opportunities don't get much grander than this, where there's all these forces at work from all around, and not just this invasion in Ukraine, but there's forces everywhere at work. Forces that humanity is saying, we're not going to do that anymore. We're done with it, and we don't need politicians to tell us how we're going to do it. We're just done with it. It's really quite beautiful when 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 humans around the planet shine their light. It's quite amazing what actually causes change. Causing change is not posting a bunch of rhetoric on social media. That has no real effect on change. Causing change isn't debating and arguing, and causing change isn't getting into all sorts of conspiracy stuff. Causing change, or better put, having the potential for change is by doing exactly what we're doing right here. And then really when you're shining your light, you're really shining it onto yourself. The awareness, I am that I am, I exist. And then being in that communication in the present moment. So it's this beautiful kind of a loop. You shine your light, share it for the world, but it comes back to you in so many more ways. So with that, Shaumbra, it's been another outstanding shout. My thanks to each and every one of you for being here on the planet, for staying. And right now, just a short message from FM. Always understand, feel into the communications from your soul. What's the greatest truth? What's the greatest freedom you'll ever have? So we've got FM working away up here with so many of the other Shaumbras who have been on Earth and then come to this side, being with you, assisting. But ultimately, it's your light as a human on the planet that makes all the difference. Shine your light and realize that no matter what happens, all is well in all of creation. With that, I am Adamus of Saint Germain.
And so it is. With that, let's take the good deep breath, feeling into the beauty of this message. So much to feel into. Take that good deep breath, flowing with it, being with it. Be that good deep breath of energy flowing. It's all just your energy. Breathe it in and shine your light. Shine your light. Thank you for being a part of this shout, the art of benching. Thank you, everyone, for all that you are and all that you do. Thank you.
Happiness feels like this, your heart upon your sleeve. There's a place in time and space where we can all be free. So meet me at the rainbow's end. We don't even have to pretend that we know what it is we're looking for. We're looking for. Life is just a dream. Lucky you, lucky, lucky me. Life is just a dream. Lucky you, lucky, lucky me. Have you found higher ground, or are you lost at sea? Or do you know where you go is where So cast your troubles into the sky. They can be the stars in our eyes, and we can count them all another day from far away. Life is just a dream. Lucky you, lucky, lucky me. Life is just a dream. Lucky, lucky me.